Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm the author of the Tanyman Academy series, and this is English Nerd. So it is time once again for random summertime reading and watching recommendations, things that I have been enjoying or have enjoyed in the past. So this is going to be a new list. Nothing on this list, I think, was on the list from last summer, so this is brand new stuff. Yes, there are more things to watch than to read because I can watch more quickly than I can read things. But it's going to be a smattering of both things that I'm enjoying. So I will start off with things that I'm watching, I'll end with things that I'm reading, and hopefully these give you some great ideas for entertainment if you are looking for the next great story. So in watching, I think most of you have already seen it, but the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix really did come through. It's incredible. It's based on the book series by Leigh Bardugo that kind of began the Grishaverse in earnest. And so it's a story of Alina, who finds out that she has magical powers essentially that could save this nation, the nation of Ravka, from the Fold, which is a magic-induced evil place. It's this dark fog where monsters lurk, and it divides the country, and she might have the ability to change that. So it was done really well. It's a combination actually of Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows, that duology with the kind of underworld of Kaz Brecker and the rest, if you're not already familiar with all of that. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Next is also on Netflix. It is a sort of documentary series, but it's not an ongoing story, so I hesitate to call it that. It's called We Are the Champions, and it's narrated by Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight Schrute in The Office. And basically it looks at a bunch of local traditions and kind of subcultures, like the best yo-yo players in the world, the people who eat the hottest peppers in the world, people who have competitive cheese rolling competitions, and it highlights the subculture and, of course, some individuals within it, and then some kind of competition that has to do with that culture. And I've been enjoying it tremendously. It's funny, it's heartwarming, it's short, and I learn a lot about these groups of people that otherwise I wouldn't have known much about. So We Are the Champions, definitely would recommend that one as well. On Disney Plus, there have been a couple of great shows. I'm sure that many of you have already checked them out. One of my very favorites so far has been Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the limited series. It is a complete blast. Falcon as a character, I never was all that into in the Avengers. I mean, he was there, I knew who he was, but I didn't get how awesome he was. And so it's both Falcon, of course, and the Winter Soldier who have to team up against this threat. So Winter Soldier being Bucky Barnes, of course, if you're into the Marvel universe. So give that one a watch. My personal favorite episode is the second to last one. It deals with some really difficult topics in a really tactful way, and was adventurous, and is everything that I like about a show. So check that one out. Next is, I decided to add this one, even though it's not a new show or series or anything, but I just was kind of in the mood for it, so I added it in case anybody has not seen it, because I feel like it's an underrated monster movie. Kong Skull Island. In my opinion, it's a complete blast. I don't know if you have the same taste as I do, but there's this group of people, it's completely star-studded, this group that goes to Skull Island to find out if there are monsters. Allegedly underneath the earth there are these huge creatures, and and this island seems to be a hotbed for that kind of activity. And so they go, and of course there's King Kong, who's a threat, but it turns out that there is an even greater threat than King Kong, and there are big monster fights. One of the reasons that I did decide to add it to my list is that it has Tom Hiddleston in it, who I really like, and with his Loki show just debuting on Disney Plus, I thought it was a good time to recommend a kind of lesser looked at Tom Hiddleston movie. So if you enjoy monsters fighting each other and Samuel L. Jackson and that kind of vibe, then definitely give it a watch. I think it's a hoot, a complete hoot. Also on the show side, this one is another that is not particularly new, but I don't hear anybody talking about this, and it's a crime. It's a complete crime. It's on Hulu at the moment. It was a BBC show called The Musketeers, and it's essentially the Three Musketeers plus D'Artagnan. So Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan, if you're familiar with the Alexandre Dumas source material. But of course they take enormous liberties with the history and the story as it was written. And honestly, I'm super glad, because I was never a huge fan of the Musketeers story. I'd seen a couple movies of it and just none of them ever grabbed me. But this series, guys, this is the only one that I might have brought up last summer because it's so absolutely killer. The acting, outstanding. The action, thrilling. I mean, down to the costumes and the sets. I mean, the whole thing is just so sexy and swashbuckling. I mean, you need to check out this show. If you have not checked out this show, if you like Pirates of the Caribbean type stuff, then you have to watch it. You have to watch it. It's definitely one of the best shows I've seen in recent years. Easily. It only lasted 3 seasons or something, but it wraps up really beautifully, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. So if you have not watched Musketeers, then do yourself a favor and watch Musketeers. Okay, on to the books that I've been enjoying lately. First is the Warcross duology. It's Warcross and Wildcard by Marie Lu. She's the one who wrote the Legend series earlier. I love the Legend series. Honestly, I like Legend a little bit more, but Warcross is a blast. It's the story of a female bounty hunter in the near future who gets caught up in professional Warcross games. So Warcross is a virtual reality game that has spawned from this technology that now everybody owns, but only the elite players of Warcross can participate in the world championships. And so she, through a series of mishaps that I will not fully explain, gets into the Warcross championships, and the creator of Warcross, this young prodigy, has a special job for her to do, somebody to hunt down. And it's very twisty. I enjoyed it. It has a Ready Player One kind of vibe to it. So if that's your cup of tea, then awesome, great, enjoy that. Next is the Lockwood Co series. Lockwood Co is not a new book series per se. The last book came out in 2016. It's by Jonathan Stroud, and it's the story of a psychical detection agency that has to help contain and destroy ghosts that are an epidemic in London for reasons unknown. All of a sudden, there are tons of ghosts, and if somebody gets touched by a ghost, it's usually fatal. And so it's really this problem in London. And so agencies composed of largely of children, because they're the only ones who are able to actually sense ghostly activity, have risen up and are trying to combat the problem. And so you have Lockwood, who's kind of the founder of the agency. He's charming and focused. And then you have Lucy Carlyle. She's the one who is the narrator. She's super tough and funny, and she's the one who's the most sensitive to kind of the phenomenon. And then there's George Cubbins, who's the researcher of the group, who you kind of hate at first, but by the end you absolutely love. So there are 5 books in this series. I actually love this series so much that I got all 5 of them. It's a blast. I would recommend these up and down, absolutely. They're ghost stories, but they're written for more middle grade, so they're spooky, but they're not truly scary like horror or anything, but they're enough to make you go, oh, well, that's kind of freaky. So yes, highly recommend the Lockwood Co series by Jonathan Stroud. And then finally, last but not least, I have to do it, guys, Kingdoms on Fire. This is the last book in the Tanyuan Academy series, which is Firian Rising into the Unreal and Kingdoms on Fire. It's a story of Firian Kess, who gets admitted to this elite academy of mental warriors who can go into a space that's a little bit like The Matrix or Inception, that has some reality but not full reality. And it's the story of what happens when he, through his efforts, rises to the top of the Tanyuan Academy and meets Kyria, Ariak, who is the heir to the throne. It seems maybe like it would be pretty straightforward, you know, chosen one, romance would ensue, something like that. But this is a very twisty story. I had a video earlier that was a bunch of tropes that are in there, so if you want to check that out, feel free. I'll have the links down below if you want to learn more about the series. But I am just kind of in love with it. I know I'm biased because I spent years just completely focused on it and the characters, but if you like Shadow and Bone, if you like The Matrix, if you like Red Queen, it's kind of like this unholy mashup of a lot of those kinds of stories. So that is it for my summertime recommendations. Hopefully you try out some of these and really enjoy yourself, learn something. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me. If you have some additional recommendations based on what I've said that you think I would like, that I've never actually mentioned, then please put those down below. Like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe for more English nerdy goodness, and I'll see you soon. Bye.